Cyclocross Magazine, here with Ryan Gamm, the race director at Red Kite Ronde, on the day after the race. Can you tell us a little bit about the inspiration for this event, because this is the first year?
Yeah, so we are affiliated with a nonprofit called the Red Kite Fund, which is set up to fund elite athletes as a sort of making the transition out of the junior and U23 ranks and give them opportunities to sort of pursue their athletic goals. And we wanted to try and develop a sustainable funding model rather than just purely relying on donations or industry money or private backers. So we thought, what is an event that we can do, or what are some events that we can do as a way to hopefully, support the racing community, give people cool events to go to, while at the same time, hopefully generating funding to help then fuel an elite program. So we have done a cross clinic that we do. We do a cyclocross boot camp. We do a cyclocross race weekend, and then we thought people are looking for something to do in the summer, and we have incredible terrain, I would say gravel, but also just mixed off-road riding in this part of Ohio, I think as good as anything in the country. And we thought, well, what can we do about building a really awesome endurance-based event in our area to really showcase what we have available and hopefully bring people in and give them something really cool to do in July.
This route was definitely going to cover all of that terrain. How did you come up with it?
I received support and ideas from a number of different people in the gravel community here that gave me ideas for routes, cool places to go through, places to avoid, those sorts of things. And between some sample routes and some ideas I was given, we were able to cobble together an absolutely amazing 200-kilometer route that had some pavement, some gravel, some ATV trail, some arguably mountain bike trail, a couple stream crossings. We intended to use a river crossing, but unfortunately the river was a little too high, and this isn't a triathlon.
You mentioned some other events that you've put into Red Kite Coaching and Red Kite Fund. How did you start hosting events? What was that, and what is your goal going forward with event production?
Mm-hmm. So it really started as a drive to have a fundraising mechanism to then help out some local elite athletes. And we started with a cross race a couple of years ago, in part because I was working out in Springfield, Ohio, and there's a Ohio State Park there called Buck Creek State Park, where I would have a mock cross course and do training out there. And it was a phenomenal venue, and it is very underutilized. And they, the folks at the park, were very, very receptive to having us have a cross race there and having a cross race that could become quite large. So it started with a cross race, and as that started to grow and be successful, we founded the Red Kite Fund, and one of the pillars of that is to try and have elite athletes be seen as a community resource. So from that, we had our cross boot camp, where our Red Kite Fund athletes as well as our coaches come and help do a day of just very intensive intermediate and advanced cross training prior to cross season. In addition to that, we have our Red Kite Fund athletes have community projects that they help build in their local cycling communities. And then from there, we thought, well, what's next? These two endeavors have been successful and fun, and we've had a great time doing them. So then the gravel ride came out of that. So in general, it's just been a big push for helping support athletes and hopefully supporting the local cycling community and trying to build some things.
So to circle back to this weekend, for a first run, how do you think it went?
Well, as you would imagine, we learned many lessons that you learn the first time you do an event. Particularly, we start and finish at Kenyon College, and the college is amazing. They have incredible facilities, but it adds an extra layer of communication that needs to happen. And from that, we had some things that we know we're going to have to revise and adjust for next year. And very fortunately, the folks that came out and did the event yesterday were incredibly gracious and understanding about our growing pains and our points of learning. But other than that, the folks that came out were 100% ready to take on an incredibly long, very challenging route in absurd heat, and just really seemed to have a good time with the event. Enjoyed how beautiful and remote the area is around here. So I think from a athlete experience, especially the course itself, I think it was well received. Certainly we've got some things that we're going to do a little differently next year to help make sure that the whole experience, especially the experience off the bike, is as comfortable and convenient and fun and as relaxing as possible. And the university makes that pretty easy for us.
We are currently at Kenyon College,
Correct.
and it's sort of a unique place. Could you tell me a little bit about how we ended up having this as a resource for the race?
Absolutely. So the Ronde has been in the works for about 2 years, and we were in conversation with a number of different towns and institutions as a start-finish point, because we wanted to have a start-finish that had full resources to house people from out of town, have good food, be comfortable, have a community that could be involved in it. And Kenyon College and Gambier were by far the clear winner. They made it very, very easy for us to get set up and started with it. They have been very supportive of this being something that we can scale up and make larger, to the extent of bringing in anywhere between 600 and 1,000 people. The college can easily accommodate, and the town can accommodate. And beyond that, there is a wide patch of incredible remote ground east, north, and southeast of here, and some of which gets used by other events. The Mohican 100 comes north of here, Funk Bottoms, Black Fork are all north of here, the Baiting the Shark race is south of here, and then there's this wide path of territory just straight east of the college that no one's used and is amazing. So we thought, hey, let's take people around there and give them some very, very challenging things to do on a bike in the middle of nowhere.
So you've got some things to push into next year's plan. What is your hope going forward?
In addition to doing everything we can to make the whole experience as sort of turnkey and comfortable and fun as possible off the bike, on the bike, we're going to hopefully build in different masters divisions, single speed division. We are exploring the idea of what would be done with an e-bike division, but that's still a dream. Hoping for some degree of more rider support out on the course, particularly in the longer event. We're going to set up drop bag access as well as more fully equipped aid stations. And then in addition, if we end up with hot temps again, we're going to make sure we have as much ice and water out on the course as is physically possible.
Do you see this being a long-distance unsupported race, or would you like to see it be more of a supported event?
I think because this is sort of uncharted territory and all of us are sort of figuring out what this should look like, I believe the idea is to take advantage of what you have available within reason. And the other events that are wholly unsupported have appeared to have greater opportunities for store stops, water stops, and such that just sort of exist in the area that they're traveling through. The area east of here is so remote that I don't think we can do it completely unsupported. I think that is both a little bit unreasonable with thoughts about safety, as well as just ideas about fair play. So we want to have this be a event where you are mostly self-supported, but where there are checkpoints, where there are aid stations and such, just because there are so few opportunities to stop for water and food out there anyway. So the idea is to make it enough that folks have what they need to get through within reason, but while at the same time you're more or less on your own other than those aid stations.
And as a non-competitive, competitive but non-sanctioned, not a race but a race event, what is the hope for the organizational structure there? Do you want to see this as a competitive racing event, or would you like to see it as more of a you against the course event?
Well, what I like about this sort of a format that everyone's sort of figuring out with this, gravel to even just sort of mixed terrain events is we're all just sort of figuring this out as we go along. And, yesterday was cool. The leaders for both our 90K men's event and our 200K men's event came in together, and we had a proper sprint finish in the 90K event, which was baffling, but awesome to see. And the 200K event was finished with two teammates together that ultimately didn't end up sprinting for the line. And the front ends of those races were very competitive, and I think that's cool. I think some people come out to be very competitive with it. I don't want to say that I don't support that, because we put up, a pretty decent amount of prize money for the top three in both the 200K events. So we certainly want to have an outlet for folks that want to go see how fast they can ride 200 kilometers. But at the same time, the course is extremely challenging, and outside of those front folks, everyone else is out there, just them against the course. And I think that's cool, and I think that's probably where the majority of folks are going to find themselves landing. And I think most people were in the spirit of that yesterday. Even the leaders of both the short events and the long events had agreements to stop at the store stop together, to make water stops together before they continued on. So it's sort of like, this fun sort of informal truce. At the same time, on the 200K event, we have what you fear is a promoter, and someone went down pretty darn hard as far away from the start finish as possible in an area that had almost no cell service. And as a promoter, I'm getting frantic text messages and phone calls, and what ultimately ended up happening is a bunch of folks that were out there found the individual that fell, got organized, made sure they had what they need, communicated with me, and we were in the process of sending someone out there to retrieve when we received multiple phone calls that, hey, we got this covered, they're okay, just wanted to give you a heads up, which is just awesome in terms of sportsmanship, certainly in the spirit of what we're sort of doing out here, and restores all sorts of faith in humanity.
Yeah, I think the community aspect of what is becoming the gravel race format is a really important part of that experience. How do you think that the gravel community is going to embrace this sort of event and this sort of race?
Well, I think we're all gonna find out together. This year was wonderful. I always think of doing event promotion as sort of thankless work, but I've always been proven wrong with that with cross races. They've been so much fun to put on, and people are very, very kind with that, even when there are some issues. And folks were just excited to be out there, excited to have an incredible route to go out on, to go see an area that is just naturally amazing. And I really hope to just see that continue. Obviously, not everyone's going to have a great time on a 200-kilometer route when it's 97 degrees outside. But the community was awesome. Anytime a rider had finished, anyone that was around and had free hands would bring them water, bring them Cokes, do what they can to help them out. Even folks that had just finished riding and were just trying to hold off cramps were helping each other out. It's awesome to see. I hope we can continue that, and I think hopefully the community will grow that culture as the community grows. I think it's sort of the best of sporting, the best of adventure, and sort of you see the best of people emerge out of these things, and I think that's awesome, especially today.
Congratulations on a great first year.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.